Hello and welcome back once again. My name is Nathan Matheson. I am your host and realtor, and this is RE Radar, your go-to source for real estate educational knowledge. And the knowledge that I'm going to be bringing you guys today is going to be all about office exclusive listings. So first, what is an office exclusive listing? Other terms you could hear them are pocket listings, private listings, or just exclusive listings. And what those are going to be referring to are listings that are promoted by a real estate broker, but only to kind of their personal network or their coworkers at this office if it is an office exclusive listing. Now, these listings are not shared broadly, though, with all real estate agents through the NWMLS here in Washington State or through public sites like homes.com or Zillow. These office exclusive listings would not be on those sites. Well, these office exclusive listings, they have been around the country for a few decades now. They're kind of starting to become just a little bit more common, and they're kind of a marketing technique, I feel, for different brokerages to use to try to attract clients to them, saying, look what we offer. Well, this other brokerage does not offer this service. And that's the reason that I'm going to be discussing it, trying to figure out what exactly this is, as it's becoming more and more popular. Is it something you guys should like? Is it something that is good? Or is it just something that doesn't really make an impact? Now, how I'm going to be doing this episode is by going over this study conducted by Bright Research, which is an MLS company, multiple listing service over on the East Coast. And they service about 6 states, I want to say. And how they did this research was by looking over 6 months of data and over 100,000 homes for sale in those 6 states that they service, along with then the District of Columbia. And essentially just getting right to the point, what they found was that office exclusive listings really offer no benefit to the seller. So before I get into the nitty gritty stats and all that, just coming up with their conclusions, and what they found out was Bright Research found that it offered no benefit. An office exclusive listing offered no benefit to the seller. They found that it actually took longer to sell the property. There was no price advantage through promoting it as an office exclusive listing. And they actually feel that if this trend keeps growing, it can harm prospective buyers and sellers by limiting inventory, and basically meaning there's multiple pockets for people to have to go to find a listing, or some people just don't even have access to certain listings. And in real estate, one of those big things that impacts the market is the inventory. How many homes are for sale? Because if there's a bunch of homes for sale, then it's going to help buyers out. And if it's a very tight market, then sellers are going to have that advantage. And Bright kind of found that this is limiting inventory. And we'll get into that more later on. And now we'll actually start getting into some of those statistics that Bright Research found and kind of detail what they might mean, I guess. And of note, if you are watching this on my YouTube, then you're going to see some graphs, and this data actually popped up on the screen. If you're listening, then I'll just detail it for you. Now, what they found in terms of how popular this is and how quickly it's growing is they had consistently been seeing about 2 to 4% of the listings being office exclusive. And then by end of 2024 and into 2025, that number grew to about 8% of the new listings in Bright MLS. So it is starting to grow, mostly on the East Coast though. However, it is getting its way into Washington State, as there is one national brokerage that services Washington State that is beginning to utilize office exclusive listings as one of their marketing techniques and something that they are offering. So that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, I suppose, because it is becoming a local thing here in Washington. And even in the Bright MLS, it says, yes, 8% of those new listings are office exclusive. However, how many brokerages are actually utilizing this? Well, what they found was there's about 4 brokerages that accounted for 3/4 of all the office exclusive listings. And no office is solely using office exclusive listings. They're not simply everyone who lists with this brokerage is an office exclusive. That's not taking place. They found actually the majority of these brokerages, it's a very slim amount of their listings that are actually office exclusive. Now, one of the most interesting statistics I found was that 87% of properties originally listed as office exclusive listings, they found actually ended up on the main MLS there for everyone to look at prior to it actually closing and getting a deal done. only 13% of office exclusive listings never came to the attention of the main public. And I think that ties in perfectly with the next stat in terms of office exclusive listings. On average, took 2 weeks longer to sell versus properties just listed on Bright MLS. Looking at 6 months of data, they found the median days till under contract here was 20 days for a standard listing, while a office exclusive listing had a median days till under contract of 37 days. And that really perfectly ties in with the idea that almost 90% of office exclusive listings eventually find their way on to the main public MLS. So what's happening is basically it's almost a pre-listing status. It's going on as an office exclusive listing. A few people get to see it early, and then it doesn't sell during that tight window where it's just for a few select groups looking at it. So then they put it on the main MLS perhaps when it's actually ready to sell, or they just put it on there because it's not selling in the office exclusive, and then it sells in that median days period. So it's in the office exclusive maybe for 2 weeks and then goes to the main MLS. And that's why it takes an average of 2 weeks longer to sell. Now, for a lot of people, when they're selling their home, what do they want? What's the big goal? Well, they want to make a lot of money, right? So do office exclusive listings have a correlation to selling the home for more money? And quickly, what they found was not really. It's kind of hard to exactly correlate this and predict it with how each home is its own home. So homes are different. And so what they did was this was an even more kind of tight knit group of data. They only looked at brokerages that had at least 300 office exclusive listings over the last 6 months, and it accounted for at least 10% of those total listings that that brokerage had. And what they then found was that generally higher priced homes were more likely to be an office exclusive listing. So 20% of the office exclusive listings were sold at over $1 million, while 14.2% of the standard listings were sold at over $1 million. Now, this is when it gets really analytical and a lot of math work's done by these fellas here. So I won't be boring you with that. So what they essentially found was that it's not just about standard or office exclusive listings in terms of what is bringing up the money or value in these homes. It's all about the location, size, and just the things that actually matter to people. That's what is changing these homes to be more expensive. And it has nothing to do with whether it's a standard listing or an office exclusive listing. And that makes perfect sense. I feel why an office exclusive listing, there might be a bigger chunk of them being $1 million+ homes, because I feel that the status of an office exclusive listing is more of something someone with $1 million+ home would seek out having. But that's just a little hypothesis on my part, of course. Now, what, of course, is the real impact of an office exclusive listing on the market as a whole? Well, what Bright MLS found was that it is significantly limiting the amount of inventory available to the public in some areas. And like I've mentioned a lot on this podcast, 2023 and 2024 were years that were plagued with low inventory. People weren't willing to sell due to those low interest rates from the COVID years. And this data, what Bright MLS found, it was from end of 2024. So it was kind of still in that low inventory period when having some of these office exclusive listings would have been very beneficial to the buyers out there. What they found was that in some zip codes, office exclusive listings accounted for as much as 29% of the total listings in that zip code. That's a pretty darn solid portion of the overall listings and would have been a noticeable change had those office exclusive listings simply been put in as standard listings to begin with. Now, wrapping up here, just what is my conclusion or what is my takeaway? I guess I would say I just don't see the value personally in an office exclusive listing. They essentially, to me, seem like just another version of Coming Soon, only in a much tight knit community. Coming Soon, of course, to some people, you don't know about that, especially Washington State. We don't offer that here. And essentially, what Coming Soon is, people can put a listing in this Coming Soon status where people can see, well, this home is about to be on the market. It's not yet on the market, so you can't yet really go see it or look at it, but you know it's going to be coming on soon. So if it fits your criteria, you can be on the lookout for it. In Washington State, we don't have that. Now, that feature of Coming Soon, I think, would be a great feature to have here in Washington State. However, we don't. And I don't think Office exclusive, though, is something that is adding a huge amount of benefit or a huge amount of value to this. For us to implement it or use it, it's simply too restrictive of an audience to truly add value to your listing in terms of who's going to see it and potentially help your seller out. When the listing is ready to list, simply list it on the main standard MLS for everyone in the public to see versus listing on some private office exclusive listing for only a small group of people to see, as like the data found that Bright did. 87% of those office exclusive listings found their way onto the main public MLS before selling. So it's more than likely going to end up on the main MLS. Why not just skip it, save 2 weeks, and put it on the main MLS first? That's what's best for buyers, and that's what's best for sellers as well. Be transparent with what's available, and having as many listings out there for a buyer to look at is what's best for both the buyers and sellers. So that wraps up today's RE Radar. Hopefully you understand what office exclusive listings are a bit better now, and you could be ready in case that's brought to your attention or that's a subject broached to you. So before I close out the show today, though, I am going to bring back the US random market check-in. And what that random market that we're going to be kicking it off with is Beaufort, South Carolina. It's one of the most charming and historical coastal towns in the South. And as of April 2025, the median list price in Beaufort was about $499,900, which is up 11.2% year over year. So real estate there seems to be doing pretty well. However, of note, it is a buyer's market actually there, and homes are spending around 70 days on market before they sell. So perhaps what's happened here is sellers are just unwilling to sell at these lower prices. Maybe in COVID there was a spike, they bought high, they're unwilling to sell low, they want to make some money, and the buyers simply aren't there at that price range. That could be what's happening, of course. I'm not familiar with that market at all, so take it with a grain of salt, but that's just my quick analysis of what could be taking place there. There's currently over 560 active listings there, giving the buyers a lot of options. And a few highlighted neighborhoods here. We got Mossy Oaks, median price there around $367,289 per square foot. Then you got the West End, higher end homes, it seems, with median price of $484,000. Price per square foot there, $335. And then you got Pigeon Point, an area with a quick turnover and median price point of $397,000. Now, overall, Beaufort, South Carolina is a very charming coastal town. It's the second oldest city in South Carolina. And with all that rich history and southern hospitality, along with, of course, that scenic beach and the environment there, it is a tourist attraction city. Now, of course, it seems like the best time to buy here would have been before that COVID boom and post-COVID boom of appreciation coming in. However, with it being a buyer's market and the supply seemingly outpacing that demand, we could see a slight price depreciation over the next year, even though it is a town that attracts tourists. I don't know if that's going to be enough to simply maintain this increase in housing market that took place, like an area that Seattle can sustain because of its job markets. Now, that'll wrap up the radar today with its market dive into Beaufort and the overall episode. Now, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Or I might even make a whole podcast episode out of it if it's good enough. But until next time, this has been The Radar. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. Peace.